Hey guys, this is going to be my review of the second episode of Apple Plus's new teen mystery drama, Home Before Dark, and the episode is called Never Be the Same. So the second episode, I was pretty positive on the pilot, which you can check out on the channel. And this episode I'm a bit more mixed with. I don't think that much happens. I think it jumps about quite a lot because you're starting to get a bit more of the drama from the past and how it's like impacting on the family as a whole. We get a bit of tension between Matt and his wife in this episode. She has a bit more of a part, which is a good thing, but until I think we see where some of this stuff is leading, then I guess it's hard to really judge it, but it just didn't seem as interesting to me as, some of the stuff which is about the main case and also which is about the central character. Obviously, Brooklyn Prince is a really great lead and really carries that part very well. So I like the family dynamic when they're together as a family. I quite enjoy their stuff, but it's just in this episode where you have like them separated and some of their stuff on their own. I wasn't so keen on, but it kind of depends where it goes. But it just felt like a bit like forced drama and a bit like it didn't really do a lot for the overall plot. And there's still some of the rough edges which was in the pilot, which are kind of like just kind of soapy, a little bit melodramatic sort of moments, which you could probably do without. But so I am a bit more mixed on this episode. I wasn't as keen as the first episode. Still good stuff in it, and I'm still enjoying it enough to like stick with it. Obviously, I'll see how it goes because there's 10 episodes in the first season. So I mean, obviously, if the standard drops in the next couple, then it might be a bit of a slog sticking it out for 10, but we'll see. I mean, hopefully this is sort of like a stopgap and it's setting stuff up, and it might, go up again after this. It's one of those, because this is only episode 2, then some of this stuff, if they pay it off, it's just some of it just felt like it could be cut and wasn't really adding much. But it's quite a simple episode in a way. We get a bit more about the husband, about Matt and his past, and we learn a bit more about the case. Obviously, well, not obviously, but I'm going to go into spoilers, but Kim, the principal, is ruled out in this episode, because obviously Hildy suspected her in the last episode. I actually like the opening, where Hildy wakes up in the middle of the night and there's a strange man in the house, and I wondered at first if it could just be a dream, but no, it turned out it was real, and he had a knife, so the camera focused on the knife, so it's quite a nice little horror type moment. I'm not sure how many of those there's going to be in this show, but I did enjoy the way that was captured and shot. And it turns out that man is actually Matt's father, so Hildy's grandfather. And actor I recognised. I'm not sure what I've seen him out of, but he did look quite a familiar type face. And we find out it's right near the end of the episode that Matt explains to Hildy then he's there because he's heard about this stuff locally with the murder or supposed murder and that he's about kind of the way things have been stirred up by Hildy's article. Again, I saw. Well, this is something I thought watching this one. I guess it seemed a bit convenient. Then everyone in the town had they'd seemed to have read the article, and there was kind of a backlash against the family because of that. Then again, it is a small town. I guess they're sort of playing up that angle, and when someone dies locally in a smaller town, obviously it's it's more likely, to make the news than if it was in a bigger city. But I like that opening, and yeah, Matt's father is suffering from dementia. He's very agitated at times in this episode, and he just mentions stuff from the past. He mentions, like deaths and stuff, and so it's sort of I get the impression he knows something, but it's not totally clear what's happening with him. But certainly there's suggestion of secrets from Matt's past in this episode, which his frustration, he gets more and more frustrated, or the wife does, of not knowing exactly what's gone on in the past with Matt. So at least she gets a bit more of a role in this episode. Now, just dealing with the details of the case itself, there's a nice little sequence in this where Hildy's talking to like a couple of boys who she's made friends with. One of them we saw in the last episode. He's one of the ones who stood up on the table and supported her, and to make a reference to the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's almost like they form like their sort of like small like Scooby Club in this episode. And I think it's with that stuff, then again it's got the Stranger Things type vibe. But Hildy explains to her what she's put together, and she explains that that Ricky, the kid who was adopted in the past, is actually the brother of Kim, the principal, and that the one who was originally arrested for his adoption was Penny's brother. Penny, of course, the one who has been found dead in the present. So obviously a bit suspicious there, but also we sort of come to find out then at the time it wasn't prosecuted, like they didn't have enough of a case, and we see later in the episode like a flashback to the trial and the father giving, as in Hildy's father, Matt giving evidence, and he's very unsure, and he says he can't really be certain. He wasn't convinced that, I think the name was Sam, that he was the one. So at the time, I don't think it really progressed. I think he got let off. But anyway, I do quite like this scene where Hildy's explaining to these other two kids, because it makes it quite visual, and you get like a shot of her book sort of thing where she's like put these clues all together. So visually it's quite a lively little scene. But as I said, there is a bit of a Stranger Things type vibe at times with the show, especially now with her and the other two. Now, I was a bit disappointed we didn't get a bit more with Hildy and the sister in this episode. They are like separate for a lot of it, and it's a shame because actually I liked their chemistry in the last episode, and I'm kind of hoping then the sister is going to be a part of this moving forward, a part of the main plot with Hildy. But anyway, Hildy and the two young boys, they go to Penny's house actually to just have a look around, and it turns out there is a flaw in the police's what they've said, because they've said apparently it was an accident that she fell when she was changing the light bulb, but that seems a bit suspicious, because Hildy says, well, why is there no broken glass? I mean, you would have thought it would have been cleaned up anyway, but I guess if this is the next day, then maybe they might not have done that yet. Who knows? But certainly Hildy's picking holes in it. And I guess it sounds a bit weak anyway, that explanation. So I guess I'm satisfied then Hildy has reason to question it. But we get this weird sort of like three sort of plots coming together in this like sequence, because the kids are in the house, and then the female officer who was like friendly to Hildy in the last episode, she comes in, she's like looking around because she heard the noise, so she says that's the reason she's there. And then someone else appears to be in the house. There's a noise, so she obviously goes to check that out. So kind of, I think, hinting then someone's not happy with the kids snooping about. Although she doesn't actually catch whoever it is. But at the same time, it cuts back and forth. There's the sister, the older sister, is kind of like hitting it off with this guy who we saw briefly in the first episode. Now, they're in detention together, and I'm not sure why they were in detention, what the sister did in the first episode. I can only assume it's when she stood up on the table in that terrible scene, when she was like supporting Hildy. So I'm guessing maybe at least some of the people in this detention are like the people who stood up and defended Hildy. But that's the only thing I can think of, because we haven't seen anything else for why she would be in detention. But that's when she gets talking to this guy who's kind of a bit dorky, kind of nerdy, but has this, you can see why she would find him quite sort of attractive. And anyway, he's really impressed apparently with her Photoshop skills, because she's done this thing where she's kind of photoshopped herself into like this shot in Paris in front of the Eiffel Tower, and she's getting some like heat off these other girls about it. But anyway, as this stuff is going on with the kids in the house, we then get like them in the woods together, and they're about to kiss, and there's at one point he references like the Jungle Book, like how he wants to be like Mowgli or something, which is a bit of a clunky reference. But then they're chased by like a wolf. A wolf comes out of nowhere, which seems quite random in the drama, but he runs a mile, and the sister is like scared, so she like runs as well. So it's meant to kind of like rank up the tension as she's in danger. And at the same time, there's this thing with the mother and Jenny, like the youngest daughter, where she's like missing, and the mother sort of finds her in the end in like a calf, but it's cutting between the three, so it's just trying to connect them I guess because they're all, potentially in danger. You've got whoever's in the house, you've got Jenny missing, and then you've got the thing with the wolf in the woods. But these other bits, I think they just feel like just random drama, just to give like people, just to give the other family members something to do. But I think it's sort of more important for the mother, because it's kind of how she finds out a bit more about Matt and the past in the town, because you have this thing where she gets, because she's taking Jenny to like the kindergarten or whatever it's called, and they're actually turned away. They said, sorry, you're not welcome. And then later on, she approaches a couple of younger mothers, says, I'm new to the town. Do you know where I can find a good cheap like play place, whatever you call them, and they're like, no, sorry, and it's kind of obvious that they're being awkward and don't want to tell her. And I thought it was kind of because of what Hilda did and stuff, but it seems to be more like it's to do with what the husband and his past. And yeah, it's this kind of thing. Then having the surname Linsky isn't proving too popular with some of the locals, although the woman in the cafe is actually quite nice to her. But this becomes a source of aggravation for the mother, so at least that's kind of motivated, and yeah, it gives her a bit more to do. There's a scene later where she seems to be getting a bit jealous of Kim and Matt, because they obviously have a past, see them together. So at least I understood where that was going, whereas this, at the moment, this kind of relationship with the older like daughter and this guy, I'm not really sold on. I'm not really that interested. But yeah, Kim comes over to the house, and she's obviously like figured out that Hildy took the tape, so she's really obviously furious. And we see her talking to Matt, and Matt later comes in, because Kim explains to Matt then that it was actually I forget, Penny who gave her the tape, and that it was Penny basically wanted Matt to have it because she wanted to try and clear her brother's name and all that. But Kim seems in denial that then it was like a murder. She doesn't think that that's what's happened, but anyway, yes. So Matt has a talking to Hildy, like it's very sort of critical. He kind of says bad journalism at one point, because he says, because about the footprint detail, he says, yeah, she was at the crime scene. But yeah, that's just because she knows her, and they were best friends at school and stuff, and yeah, so he explains then it couldn't have been Kim. So it's kind of like this roadblock for Hildy, because again Matt uses the phrase bad journalism. And they kind of make up by the end of the episode, although there's kind of tension again in the family. Like the sister isn't very pleased with Hildy because Hildy's got this camera now, and the sister is still like having problems like fitting in at school, but so she feels like Hildy's getting special treatment. I guess this kind of like up and down is quite realistic with sisters, but it's a bit frustrating just because in the last episode they seem to like make progress, and they seem to be like, she seemed more supportive by the end, more sympathetic to Hildy. And again, it's not that it's not realistic. I guess it just from the drama point of view, I guess I was quite liking them and their chemistry, and yeah. But we'll see where it goes. I mean, hopefully she'll get back on board. But that's pretty much the episode, and the cliffhanger at the end is that the phone rings, and Matt has like a mysterious phone call with a bit of news. So that's obviously, we're going to pick up with that in the next episode. But there you have it. That's episode 2. Bit more of a mixed bag. Still quite promising. Still worth checking out more. But that's, second episode of Apple TV's new series, Home Before Dark. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've seen it, like and subscribe, all that stuff. Couple of other things on the channel is another new thing I've been doing is Tales from the Loop, this new anthology series on Amazon Prime, so you can expect a review of episode 3 of that coming up soon. Also, recently I've been doing more Gilmore Girls reviews, so if you're a fan of that show, there's a couple of recent reviews I've done of that show. I'm also going to be getting back into Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've not done a review of that in a while, so I'll do a review pretty soon. And another thing you can look forward to if you're a horror fan, if you're a slasher fan, is I will be returning to the Halloween franchise soon. So Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, is the next one I have to do. So expect that review to come in the next week. But thanks for listening to this review, and I'll see you guys again soon. Goodbye.